She's one of the most recognizable figures in Greek mythology. Medusa, the monster with snakes for hair, the woman whose gaze turns men to stone. But what if I told you that Medusa's story is much more tragic than it seems? That perhaps she isn't the villain, but the victim? Today, we dive deep into the dark truth behind Medusa. Medusa wasn't always a monster. According to one version of her story, she was a beautiful maiden and a devoted priestess of Athena, goddess of wisdom and war. As a priestess, she took a vow of chastity, dedicating her life to the goddess. Her beauty was legendary, so legendary that it caught the attention of Poseidon, god of the sea. And it was this beauty that would ultimately lead to her tragic downfall. In one tragic version of the myth, Poseidon desired Medusa, and one day he pursued her relentlessly. She tried to escape, but Poseidon cornered her in Athena's temple, where he violated her. Medusa, helpless and terrified, was left alone and shattered. You might think that the goddess Athena, protector of women and wisdom, would show mercy. But instead, Athena punished Medusa, not Poseidon. She transformed Medusa into a gorgon, cursed with a monstrous appearance and the power to turn anyone who looked at her into stone. Display of Medusa isolated, hiding in caves as a monster. And so Medusa's curse became her prison. Exiled from society, despised and feared, she was left to live as a monster, while Poseidon faced no punishment at all. This raises a question. Was Medusa truly a monster, or was she just a victim of the god's cruelty? Pause to let the question linger. Many today see Medusa as a symbol, a tragic figure who faced punishment not for her own sins, but for the desires and actions of others. Her story represents how often society punishes the victim instead of the perpetrator. Enter Perseus, one of the most celebrated heroes in Greek mythology. He was tasked with bringing back the head of Medusa as proof of his courage. Armed with gifts from the gods, a mirrored shield from Athena, winged sandals. From Hermes, he found Medusa while she slept and with a single blow, decapitated. The story often paints Perseus as the hero and Medusa as the villain. Medusa was hunted and killed not because of her own actions, but because she had been cursed. Punished, abandoned, and ultimately sacrificed. In recent years, Medusa has become more than just a monster. She's a symbol of resilience and empowerment for those who've endured suffering and survived against all odds. Her image has been reclaimed by artists, feminists, and survivors who see in her a reflection of injustice and inner strength. Medusa's story isn't just about a monster, it's about victim blaming, survival, and the double standards that have echoed through time. What if the true villain in Medusa's story wasn't her, but the society that condemned her for a crime she didn't commit? Medusa's tale reminds us that history often labels the misunderstood as monsters. Perhaps it's time we look again and ask ourselves, who is the real villain in Medusa's story? Thanks for joining me on this journey through one of mythology's most misunderstood figures. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Medusa was a monster or a victim? Show an image of Medusa as a symbol of resilience,